Hello friends, welcome to my channel Mindset Solution. Today we are going to discuss a question from Indian legal and constitutional history. So now the question is briefly compare the position of Federal Court and the Supreme Court of India under the Government of India Act 1935 and the Constitution of India 1950. So we are going to discuss this question, and this is very interesting and uh, important questions. So now the first point I'm going to explain you. So first point is the Federal Court of India 1935 to 1950 was a judicial body established by the Government of India Act 1935 with limited powers and served as the highest court of British India. In contrast, the Supreme Court established by the Constitution of the India 1950 is the highest constitutional court of India, possessing a broad jurisdiction such as the power of issue writs for the protection of fundamental rights and the power of judicial review, and has evolved into a more powerful successor to the federal court. So in this paragraph, we understood that the federal court was established in 1937 and it has limited powers, and it is a British India, Federal Court of India. It is made by the British India, and whereas the Supreme Court have has been established by the Constitution of India in 1950 after the independence, and it has lots of power to protect the fundamental rights, and it has power to for the judicial review, and has evolved into more powerful successor to the federal court. So we have understood that this is the difference between the federal court and the Supreme Court. So now we are going to discuss the point wise in the next slide. So next slide, it says the Federal Court established in 1937 under the Government of India Act 1935, whereas the Supreme Court established on January 26, 1950 with the commencement of the Constitution and began functioning from the January 28, 1950. Next is federal court structure. So this was a judicial body for British India, which resolved disputes between the center and the provinces, and had appellate jurisdiction over the decision of the high courts, whereas the Supreme Court i- is the highest constitutional court of India, which is the guardian of the Indian constitution. So in this point, we have understood the establishment of federal court and Supreme Court, and the structure was, so federal court structure was made by the British India, and it only resolved disputed between the center and provinces, whereas the Supreme Court is, highest constitutional court of India, and it is the guardian of Indian constitution. Next point is federal court appeal. So this was the final point of appeal to the previous Privy Council in London. So in federal court there is a final, appeal point is the Privy Council of London, whereas the Supreme Court is the final appellate court against the decision of any high court. So it is the, you know uh, Supreme Court is the final, appellate. If there is any decision that is from the high court, so you can appeal for Supreme Court, but in federal court you have to appeal in London in Privy Council. So this is the difference between the appeal. Now we are going to next slide, and next slide it says federal court jurisdiction. So jurisdiction was limited. Federal court jurisdiction was limited. Primary matters related to the 1935 Act and the central provincial dispute. So, and whereas the Supreme Court of Appeal is the highest court of appeal for all courts, protector of fundamental rights under the Article 32. It has the power to issue writs directly to the citizens for the enforcement of fundamental rights, judicial review. It has the power to strike down the laws and action inconsistent with the constitution article 13. So in this paragraph, in this point, we have understood that the federal code has limited power, you know, to resolve the problems of center and provinces only. They can resolve only center and provinces matters, but the supreme court had lots of power to protect the fundamental rights according to article 32. It has power for to issue writs directly to the citizens, and strike down laws and action with the constitution article 13. And the next point is federal court chief justice. So in in federal court, Sir Maurice Goyer was the first chief justice, whereas the Supreme Court chief justice, Justice Hira Lal J Kania, was the first chief justice. So this was the last point, differentiate or compare between the federal court and Supreme Court. Now we have the next slide. It says key differences learning comparative study. So now we are going to discuss the point by point. So first point is basis. The federal court was created by an act of parliament, while Supreme Court is a constitutional institution established by the Indian government. So court is federal court is created or established by the parliament, where the Supreme Court is established by the constitutional constitution of India. Next is constitution supremacy. The federal court was a colonial institution, while the Supreme Court is the highest and final court of India after independence. Next is power. The Supreme Court possesses uh, extensive powers, judicial review, fundamental rights, and which the federal court did not have. So the Supreme Court have lots of power according to Indian constitution. Next is final of appeal. The decision of the Supreme Court are final, whereas the appeals from the federal court could be made on to the Privy Council. So finally, you have the two options in Supreme Court, whether you can go to the Supreme Court. So you have lots of stairs in Indian Supreme Court, where you have the last option in go to Supreme Court and then get the final decision. But according to federal court, you have to go to the London Privy Council for the appeals. You don't have any organization or any court to appeal in India. Now the last point is the purpose of federal court laid the foundation of the judicial system under the British rule, but the Supreme Court is the pinnacle of the justice for the democratic and sovereign Republic of India. So there is a purpose of Supreme Court and federal court, difference between the Supreme Court and federal court purpose. So federal court laid the foundation of the judicial system under the British rule, but the Supreme Court is democratic and sovereign Republic of India. It protects the rights of fundamental rights of the people. So this is the final answer of this question. I hope you like the answer of this question. I would like to request you people to subscribe my channel, comment, like, share, and share with your friends also. If you have any questions, please do in the comment. I will definitely reply your comment. Thanks for watching Mindset Solution.